Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning if you're in the States. I'm not quite sure what time. It depends on, obviously, where you live. And I got my wonderful, wonderful guest, Halina Goldstein, or Goldstein, depending on how you want to, where in the world you are, or how you want your background. And she is on a mission to bring more joy and abundance into people's lives. And the topic of my group this week has been all about this subject, all about creating more joy and living the life that is truly joyful. So I won't, without further ado, talk more. I will ask Halina to introduce herself very briefly, just to explain what her mission is and what is her why.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. First and foremost, wonderful to be here. And it's so funny because you said I'm on a mission to bring more joy and abundance to people's lives. And I'm absolutely not able to do that because the thing is that it's there already. And that's my mission, to help as many people as possible to uncover and live the joy and the abundance that is in our lives. This is work that has unfolded for me along the way, and right now it's part of my coaching work. It's part of my work with the Joykeepers Network. It's part of my writing. So it's absolutely part of everything I do, and of course also my own life. It's everywhere. And also, one thing that I wanted to add is because you asked me that question before, what was my mission? And, at the end of the day, it's really about oneness, which is the mission most of us are on these days. Joy is a way to oneness, and we absolutely need to experience and realize more oneness in our world. So that's the ultimate mission, but it goes through joy and abundance.
Yeah, sorry, you were so right, because it's within us. It just needs literally the layers being removed, isn't it? In a way.
Yes, but this is just the way it's the way we speak about it. You know it and I know it. It's in our language. In our language, we say, "What brings you joy?" As if was something external, so it became almost a habit for me to remind. It's there already. We just need to uncover it.
Yeah, sure. So what led you to where you are now? So what's your history? What brought you to this place, and what brought you to create this group that you have and the programs that you have?
Oh, that's a long story. I tried to make
at the beginning.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing actually, to start at the beginning, because I've been very lucky to, at some point in my life, to have like a glimpse of a memory of the beginning of my life, like literally when I was born. And in the beginning, there was pure joy. And what I know is that it wasn't just me. It is the beginning for all of us. As we arrive, we are in a field of pure joy because we come from joy. And then life happens, right? And it happens for just about all of us. And it happened for me too. And a very long story short, what became a theme in my life, there were two themes, or maybe three, but in this context, one theme was loneliness. I felt very lonely from a very early age until I was in my 40s or late 30s, and then around 40 actually. So that was a theme. The other theme was that because there was a lot of emotional pain, I started, and also because I was lucky in a way, I started working with spirituality and with personal growth when I was 18, which was very early at the time. Today, it's not so uncommon. Back then, it was very uncommon because spirituality was a complete taboo. So what happened for me was that I was working with spiritual and personal growth, and still I was very, very lonely. And even if things got better and much of the emotional pain was resolved, the loneliness kept coming back. And at some point, it led me to a point where I had an experience where I could see that there's nothing of the things that I was doing that helped. And again, a long story short, there was, on one hand, there were moments of awakening that came very unexpected. So I was in a place of complete despair, complete loneliness, and all of a sudden there was pure bliss, pure love, pure joy. And at that point, the conclusion I drew was that, wow, since and I had no idea why the changes were happening. It happened every few months or every few weeks later, was that, so nothing changes in my circumstances, and I can go from deep loneliness to love and joy, pure love, pure joy, pure oneness. So that took me to the next stage of my journey, trying to find out how is it possible. Apparently, it has nothing to do with my circumstances. And then there was a stage, a time where I realized it was very much about self-love, that I had to learn it, that love could not come from outside. I had to uncover it in myself. I had to find it in me. And that was a fairly short journey because I had prepared for so many years. So there's maybe a year or something where I was working intensely on that. And everything opened from there. In the sense that loneliness disappeared, a sense of connection showed up, and a beautiful marriage with a soulmate showed up, and everything fell into place. And then a few years passed again, and it was time for a divorce from the beautiful marriage, which wasn't unlikely situation. It was necessary. Our ways were parted, and it was during that time, like immediately or in the midst of the divorce, where there was the pain of loss of losing my soulmate and everything we had together, and I thought we would have together forever. In the midst of that, joy showed up, like undisturbed, full experience of joy. And this was not just a glimpse, this was something that stayed. And because again, I had prepared for it through many years of work. And then it started influencing my work. My clients started to say back, even if I didn't speak explicitly about joy in our work, this was the feedback I was getting back more and more. I'm finding my joy. I'm finding my joy. I'm finding my joy. And along the way, there was guidance, there were insights, there was aligning with my life's work. And along the way, I understood that joy is my work. Joy is my primary work. And so everything that I do, it becomes an expression of it and is about it.
Yeah. So what you're saying is really it comes from a place of loving yourself, because I presume that, because obviously you found joy even amidst change, and sometimes not so pleasant change, possibly.
Very unpleasant. Let me say this. Yeah. Well, in a sense, yes. What I learned from my journey is that self-love is maybe the best way for us to connect with ourselves. And when we are connected with ourselves, joy can begin to flow. Because again, joy is part of us. It's part of our soul nature, you could say. It's our essence. So the source of it lives within us, just like love lives within us. When we do not love ourselves fully or quite as much as we need, then we are disconnected from ourselves. So it's like we have blocks within us, and then joy cannot flow. The more we can love ourselves as we are, so that's very different from improving ourselves, right? Yeah, the more we can love ourselves unconditionally and simply allow ourselves to be, allow our energy to flow through everything that we are, however it is, then joy can flow as well, then abundance can flow as well. So that is the connection. On one hand, the other connection is that, as I see it, we often use this word light as the symbolic description of the divine, the source, the universe. And I see it as kind of a bundle of energies, where there are some some fundamental energies that are part of it, and love is one of them, and joy is one of them, and creativity is one of them, wisdom is one of them, peace is one of them. So in that sense, love and joy really belong together. So the more we open for love, the more joy can flow also in the other things.
So yeah, so the focus on joy. So why it being so important, is it because it is an attractor energy, I presume, and because it brings in all these other things? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's in a way, yes. On a deeper level, you could say joy is important because it is who we are. Okay. Dalai Lama, he says it very directly. He says our purpose is joy, and others do too. What it really means is that if we look at our lives and look at what we're longing for, what we want to do, what we strive for, if you ask people, maybe they say, I want this job because it's fulfilling, or I want this car because it's fast, or I want this because. But if we keep asking, it always comes back to joy. And then they would say it is because it brings me joy, but it really is because it connects me with the joy within. So it is like in our DNA that we are joyful beings. This is our very nature. This is our very soul. And it is a natural longing within us to be who we really are, to connect with that feeling. So that's the spiritual part of it. On the more down to earth part of it is, and of course it is intertwined. Joy is a very connecting feeling, right? We know it, like, when we meet a stranger on the street, and let's just say that we are not in such a good mood, and the stranger smiles to us, it opens us, it connects us, it affects us, it resonates with us. So joy is really a very connecting energy, and a very resonant energy. And an uplifting energy, and also a multiplying energy. So it's a on one hand, it's a deep energy that has layers upon layers. And I mean, I've been working with it for decades, and I still feel like a beginner with it. On the other hand, it's very simple in a way, right? It's we can feel it when it's there. We can recognize it. Everyone can, because we're born with it.
So it teaches. So what do you think it teaches us? Joy? Does it have a? Does it teach? Does it, or what does it promote? It does promote resilience, or does being?
No. Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I think. Yeah, thank you for bringing it in. So you could say that joy. First of all, it teaches us that we are connected.
Yeah.
It teaches us that we belong together. And it also gives us a sense of hope and meaning. And this is perhaps where resilience comes in. There is, I think many people have this strange experience that maybe they're in a difficult situation, and someone comes along and smiles to them and say, you're going to be all right. And the sentence is kind of superficial. I mean, they don't know what's ahead. But if that person that says it, you're going to be all right, with that smile, really is in touch with the feeling, really is in touch with joy, then they connect us with a very deep sense of faith and of knowing that everything is indeed going to be all right, because it comes from a deeper place. So that's definitely one of the reasons why joy is important. But again, in a way, as I see it, the most important part about it is that it is our nature, and what it means, and it is something we all seek. And what it means is that if and when we can open to joy in any area of our lives, whether it's work or money or relationships or our relationship with our body, with ourselves, anything, when we open to joy in that relationships, that area begins to flourish. There is flow there. So it's also a transformational energy.
So how do you work with clients then who are really sort of stuck in a very negative, introverted, sort of lack of faith type of energy, to feel that there's no hope and they've had one too many blows in their life.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah, so that takes time, of course, but my most important value is to start where they are, to not try to change anything. And the reason I can do it is because I have been there, and because I know that there is behind every situation where someone is stuck, there's a lot of power, a lot of transformational potential. So the way we work with it is that first I support them in actually staying in the stuckness, in the sense like daring to feel it, daring to feel what it's about, what it really is. And of course, I bring also, it's not just words, it's also bringing the energy of joy, bringing the energy of healing, bringing the energy of light in. And teaching them how, by staying with it rather than escaping it, which is what most people do, including people on a spiritual path. Most people want to escape any pain, right? The invitation, the invitation here, yeah, exactly. The invitation is here. Don't run away. Stay with it, and then giving them an experience of transformation, and then taking them step by step by step to opening more, to opening up more, to opening more. And it is always, a process, but on one hand, it is taking them to their own source of joy, of love, of resilience, of clarity, and also meeting the layers of resistance that or pain or old stuff, whatever it is, along the way, and helping them dissolve it by meeting it, not by trying to change it, not by trying to escape it, but by meeting them. And it is really a natural process. So my role as a coach is really support a natural process, and then it opens gradually, and good things happen.
So is it more like a talk therapy, or would you have sort of a set of tools or things, techniques that you use to help people move along this journey, this path?
It's not really therapy in the traditional sense. Typically, the clients that come to me are people that already have done some work around their emotions. They are people that already are on a spiritual journey. Most of my clients are coaches, healers, therapists, artists. So they are already on the path. So in that sense, it's not therapy, but it is, you could say it's conversation, but there is a lot of energy in the space. There's a lot of love in the space. There's a lot of joy in the space. So it's a transformational space. So it's not in conversation between minds. It's a transformational conversation where changes happen as we speak. And then, yes, there are practices and there are tools. There are some fundamental tools that we use that I find very helpful, and so do my clients. And some of them we create as needed because everyone is different. So we take a look at where is this person in their life, what is needed, and then we create a practice that works for that person, because so many people, they have too many practices. They know a lot of tools. They know a lot of practices. They don't get them done because it's too much or because they're not really connected with them. So it's really actually about finding few practices that really, really are connected with you, really touch you, and then support clients in doing the practice and seeing that it works.
Yeah. Is there one overriding one that's the most popular in terms of?
Yeah, there is one practice that I have, that has developed for myself. This is why I call it the natural process, because I didn't invent it; it happened, and I call it the C approach. And it is the practice that helps you do this thing that I mentioned before, that you can stay with any feeling. Any pain, any experience, inner or outer, that you would usually want to escape or avoid or suppress or whatever, and allows you to stay with it, and then allows you to embrace it fully, and then allows you to expand through it. And to expand through it means that through it, to that point of pain, you expand into into your love, into your joy, into your light, and then a transformation happens. It's very, very simple and very, very powerful. And you know, because I have worked with these things for like, I don't know, 45 years or 50 or something, I have had the opportunity to try many tools and many practices. And this one has just stayed with me because it's so natural, because it's really something that just happens if we let it. It's very simple, very powerful.
That's lovely. So, yeah, I mean, you probably touched on it. What does prevent us from being more joyful? Is it because we are disconnected from ourselves?
That is the most important thing. There's also, and then we can say, okay, that is true just about everything, because in the sense that all good things we already are. So it is always this connection that is our problem. That's of course very generalized. So you could say it can be emotional disconnect, it can be mental disconnect, it can be physical disconnect, and spiritual disconnect, etc. So there's all the inner reasons why we are disconnected. And there's also another part of it, is that we live in a disconnecting culture. We live in a culture that believes in separation. We live in a culture that says your body and your spirit are two different things. You and another person are two separated beings. You and what you want is separate. There's separation everywhere in our culture, and you know, just about every sentence we say, and we are being totally affected by it. So these are the reasons for disconnect. But on the other hand, it's not because something is bad, but because this is the human journey. We come as these completely open, joyful, loving, lightful beings, and then we are being taken on an adventure. This is how I see it, at least. We're being taken on an adventure with a lot of challenges, right? We all know that. And a lot of pain and great difficulties. And eventually we, at some point of the journey, we are being invited to come back to what our nature is, to what our joyful nature is, to what our abundant nature is. It's through this adventure. So the disconnection is not, as I see it, it's not just, you know, a bad thing and something that unfortunately happened. I see it as part of the journey, like you know, like in adventures when you read the book, right? So the heroine or the heroes start somewhere, and then they go through all kinds of horrible things, and you turn pages and you go, oh my God, what's going to happen? And at the end, if it's that kind of an adventure, first of all, they have learned a lot. Secondly, you have had a fantastic experience reading the story, right? And they found out that every challenge, every disconnect, you could say, brought them a gift, and then at the end they get to use all of it, right? That's how adventures work. So in the same way, you could say, using myself as an example, yes, was it very, very tough to be that lonely for that amount of time? Yes, it was. Am I immensely grateful for it today? Yes, because it brought me amazing gifts, and some gifts that not many people get, but I did. But I had to move through these challenges in order to discover them. So I don't complain about the disconnect that was there, but I'm glad that I was able to through it.
So for others then to understand that, you know, the awareness of the challenges that they had, that may be like a point to help them, you know, like not a lesson, but sort of a message to say, you have had these and there's a reason possibly why, that maybe you're here to help other people if you've gone through this and you've come out the other side, and you have now a larger than life almost role to fulfill in helping others, guide them through this sort of difficult time and come out the other side, you know, and be healed.
Absolutely. This is such a great point, because that also, brings the journey. I'm really glad that you brought it in, because it also brings the journey, like, it's never only our individual journey, right? It's also our collective journey. And for every person that moves through whatever kind of challenges, we can now help many more people to move through it much faster and much easier. And then the world begins to transform as well.
Have you seen that happen, that there is suddenly this more broader awakening to people's, if you like, spirituality, or that they have sort of this bigger purpose to serve, more lives are being touched by this, because obviously what's happening with all the environmental upheavals and disasters and even this pandemic now is this like a way of like shining the light back on our responsibility, our stewardship of our world, and that we are all interconnected, even with nature, and that we have to find this balanced ecosystem, but not just with nature, obviously between ourselves as well, this cooperation and collaboration thing, and helping each other and supporting each other rather than competition. And
absolutely, I see it very clearly, and as many people do, and it's definitely part of it, that it kind of forces us to collaborate and to open our eyes and to awaken. And it also, I have found that it also challenges us. For example, when the pandemic started, most people reacted with tremendous fear, and that was regardless of whether they've been on a spiritual path or not. Everyone took saw this, here's the virus, here's this external thing attacking me, attacking those I love, attacking my country, attacking my world. And many people who would otherwise say, I believe that there's something bigger, I believe that there is a meaning to everything, etc., when confronted, all these beliefs kind of, were gone for a while. And when they were left with their fear, and with the fear of survival, of what if I cannot survive this? What if? So it was also, and it still is, that goes for all the challenges that we experience. It is also an invitation to choose, what do you really believe in? Because what you believe in will also determine how you act, right?
Definitely, yeah.
So in that way, I see it. And also, like, again, from a perspective, I'm 65, so I've had the opportunity to see the world for a while, and it's been amazing to see. Like, when I started, I wouldn't even say to my friends that I was meditating. It was such a taboo. It was like saying I'm crazy. Like, who would want to say that? So it was really a taboo. And then I've seen how along the way it became mainstream. Along the way, they meditated, Google and Facebook and all the leaders in the world do, etc., etc. So to see first how it became mainstream, how people started, acknowledging that there's something to it, but then also seeing how things accelerate have been absolutely mind-blowing. That what before took maybe 40 years, then took 30 years, then took 20 years. Now I see the same processes, the same transformations take 1 year or 2 years or maybe 3 years, but not 10 and not 20, And it is partly because there is so much experience, like you said, each of us have learned something and I can give to some more people, but also because we collectively have grown. So the people that are born, maybe 10, 20 years later than I, have already much more access to it, like almost in their DNA. And those that are born, even later, who are maybe 20 years old now, they have access to even more from this collective consciousness, collective realization. So there is definitely a global awakening. It is necessary because of everything that's happening, and at the same time, it is happening. It's very visible.
Okay. So, do you have like a clear vision of where you want to go with this, with your program, or just
Do you have
a plan? Like, yeah. Well, I know you like to go with the flow and just be open to signals and things like that from the universe or whatever.
Yeah,
but presumably you have got this. Without being too arrogant about it or saying I'm going to be this big or whatever, and I'm going to change the world or change certainly my country or whatever. But but
no. If it was up to me,
everybody's got an aspiration, haven't they? Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's important to keep them, no matter how, it keeps you going, it motivates you, it fires you up, doesn't it?
Absolutely, especially when they come from a real deep place, and they tend to do that. My personal aspiration, if I had a choice, would be to sit in a little corner and do my stuff and write
mind your books. Business.
Mind my business. I have no need for big aspirations personally. However, visions have been given to me, and I have been pushed into aspirations that I didn't wish, but that are very meaningful to me. And at some point, I think it's 3 years ago now that I received very specific guidance to build something that's called the Joykeepers Network, which is a spiritual network which is dedicated to help as many people as possible to open to the joy within them. And then, so that there are more and more joy keepers in the world, and that means more and more people who can stay in that frequency of joy, regardless of what is happening in the world, because a lot is happening in the world, a lot of fear, a lot of pain, a lot of desperation, so a lot of imbalance. So there's more and more a need for people all over the world who can stay in that joyful knowing that it's going to be all right. So I've been receiving and continue receiving guidance to build that network. I've been doing it for 3 years now, and now it was my personal project, and thankfully now it becomes more of a project led by a team. That's like the next stage of it. So that's the big vision, that there's like a network of people who can support each other in the process, and in that way also support the world by helping more and more people to open to joy. And then there's also, my individual work, which is the coaching, which is around joy most definitely, but also very much about supporting people in gaining clarity about what is their life's great work, and then bring it out very specifically, like the business they bring out, the work they bring out, and do it with joy, of course. And then there are some books I have to write, and I'm writing. Yeah, I'm working on it. But yes, there is this big overlapping joy vision, and again, and this is a good thing to know for people that get more and more in touch with their life purpose, that when it comes to you, your first reaction is typically, this is too big for me. There's no way I can do it. Find someone else. but we do it anyway, and we have each other to support each other, right?
That's important, isn't it? Yeah. Finding sort of matching souls, or people who have similar energies, I suppose, and that you're on the same vibe, if you want to call it. But yeah, they're the ones that you need to connect with, and they will be that supportive environment, that supportive factor for you. So yeah.
Yes, and also, like, you did a beautiful thing by reaching out to me and say, what do you think? How could we, bring something in? So it's also about reaching out. This is a fairly new learning for me because I've been so independent. But it's so important. You've been a beautiful example of it. Reach out, ask for help, because it makes things easier, and also makes things more fun. Right?
Definitely. And it was really, it wasn't premeditated or anything. It was just some instinct in me said, oh, why not? Why not? Yeah. So I've done two this week. It's unbelievable.
Exactly.
And it's lovely. It feels great to connect with people, and we need to, especially with COVID, and we're okay, we are moving about more and more, but still, you know, we can connect in so many different ways, can't we? And certainly the online space, it makes it possible for you and I to connect, even though, you know, we're in different parts of the world. And, you know, I've connected with a group, another group that's not mine, but it's been lovely to connect with people who live in South Africa, in Venezuela, and America. You know, it's North America. It's been beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful experience. And I think it is like that beauty of knowing that we're interconnected, you know, and that you will always find people that you know, you understand better. I get you, you know. And,
exactly. I talked with a friend just yesterday who said that's for a great deal of his life he you know he didn't speak to people because he said I didn't know how to speak to people. Turns out it wasn't because he didn't know how to speak with people, but he at the time he didn't meet the people that he could really speak with.
Exactly.
And then he started meeting them also through social media and in other ways he found out, oh, it's about connecting with the people where we speak the same language, and then we can create fun things together, inspire each other, lift each other.
Yeah, and I've noticed that in my group that it's nice when people do open up. I feel, you know, a pleasure when people do communicate, and even if they're problems, you know, it's not always hunky-dory and wonderful. And we often, certainly the British, put on this face, you know, that everything's fine. You ask them, oh, it's fine, I'm happy, I'm fine. But, you know, it's important to look at and address, obviously, the fear that we have, or the worries and, you know, the anxiety, and just meet them face on, and to share it, because you know, it's like a problem shared is or burden shared is a burden halved, you know, that sort of thing. When you share.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, this is funny that you mention it, because you know, because I've been working so much with joy, and people connect with me a lot, and you know they say, Halina, you're the person with joy, and I'm all about joy and joy. And yes, I am. And each time I have to go back to them and say, but it's not to suppress anything else, it's to embrace everything. That's the purpose of joy, right? It's not to push anything away, and any experience is welcome. That's love's way, and that's joy's way. It's to welcome anything, and then also bring joy in, also bring life in, also bring sharing in.
Exactly. We got somebody watching now who's commented. I put the comment up. So you connected to just join. Nice to listen to you and Halina. I don't know who it is, because obviously they haven't registered with StreamYard, but it doesn't matter.
Hello there.
So they're sharing with their friends, which is lovely.
Yes,
wonderful.
absolutely.
And that probably the same user said they pay it forward every day. It doesn't cost just to call somewhere, you know, and that is true, you know. It's a wonderful gesture.
It is.
You know, even just speaking to somebody to say, I see you, I recognize you, you're there, you know, and because you've experienced that long time of loneliness, and
absolutely.
It can be lonely in the pandemic, you know, even now with movement.
Yes, it's, you know, loneliness has been a taboo, and it's only now that people start talking about it in your country, among other places, also in Denmark, and they're just, you know, beginning to talk about it, and there's much more to it, but yet it's so important to share, really is. Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to just say how people can reach you, if you want to just put it down as a link at the end of the live, it's up to you, but you can just announce where they can find you, where they can find out more, and what you want to share with my group, you know, if you've got some sort of free gift or something like that you want to offer.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I would love to. Well, I'm very easy to find here on Facebook, obviously, and I will include a long link. And just want to mention that again, joy is a profound and journey, and our ultimate purpose. But at the same time, it's a practice that can be simplified and can be simple. So I have an ebook that's called Finding Joy Every Day that people have told me is a joyful piece of reading for them, but also the practice is there. It's easy to learn. So I will include a link where you can download it for free, and then give it a try.
Wonderful.
And reach out anytime. I love connecting. So
fabulous. Yeah, and being more connected brings more joy, doesn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
Even if we share sometimes our woes, but it still feels joyful to connect.
Absolutely.
Because we are intrinsically made to be connected, because we are all connected in this quantum field.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's like, so at the end of the day, it's always, you know, this is something that has taken me a whole life perhaps to truly understand, but understanding more and more that we really are one, that we really are connected. It's not some spiritual cliche, but it's a literally, it's a
scientific fact.
Yes, also that, and the more we can recognize ourselves in anyone, the richer we become, the more joyful we become. Because again, speaking of connection, disconnection, for every person we can connect with a part of ourselves, and then joy can flow some more, right?
That's so true. Yeah. Oh, it's been wonderful chatting with you.
Likewise, love your energy, because you shine, Joy. You like,
yeah, I try to. Yeah, I do enjoy engaging with other people. That's always been something that lights me up. And with it previously, before all this social media took off, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed running a coffee shop because it was that interaction with customers and the pleasure when I sort of bake something and then they just sort of raved about the cakes that I made. But then to receive that praise, I suppose it was a bit of the ego as well going in there. But even so, it was nice to connect and bond with customers.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much, and also thank you to everyone listening.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll see more and hear more of you, and you'll certainly take the big word of joy, even though it's only a 3-letter word, but it's a big word, isn't it?
Yes, it is a big word.
Big little word.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and bye-bye. God bless. Bye.